Welcome back to the Adaptive Athlete Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Hotho. Today's a big day in the life of our podcast because today features our first international guest, Josine van Paassen from the Netherlands. Josine is not only an adaptive athlete competing in CrossFit and High Rocks, but she's also a researcher and advocate for adaptive sports. We dive into her experience with Hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome, and we discuss the unseen struggles of invisible disabilities, the hurdles faced by adaptive athletes, and how she found strength and resilience through competition. So, Josine, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Josine, what time is it for you in the Netherlands right now?
11:28 in the morning.
Well, if we do the math, that means it is 6:28 a.m. here in the United States. So if your host sounds a little groggy or tired, it was worth it to get to talk to Josine and to hear your story. So Josine, you work at a university and you research, or you worked at a university and you researched adaptive sports. Can you tell me a little bit about that work that you were doing?
Yeah. I used to work there as a teacher, and then I started doing research. And the research was about the adaptive sports facilities in the Netherlands, especially in Amsterdam, because we have a lot of people with a disability or a chronic illness. And we also have a lot of sports facilities for people with a disability, but most of them don't go there. So the research was about why that is actually. Is it the money? Is it transport issues, or do they feel shy or awkward to go there, or maybe some of them are scared? That's what the research is about.
Yeah, and so what did in brief? I mean, what did you guys find out?
Yeah, actually, it's the things that I just mentioned. A lot of people have, well, they call it, I don't know if I pronounce it right, but kinesiophobia. So fear of movement. Because when you have a body that gives you a lot of pain or discomfort, you feel like, maybe it's going to get worse. It's going to get me more tired, or I get more injuries. So, they don't go. And we all know that it will only help you, make you feel better. And it's really important for your health to stay active.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people need to be convinced that it's actually good for them, and also that they can enjoy it, that they can feel welcome in these sports clubs. Some people just need somebody to take them there, or but sometimes it's also a money issue.
Yeah.
A lot of people with a disability work less, and they have a lot of extra costs. So sports is not on top of their list.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting because I think for many of us as adaptive athletes, we felt that tension of the fear of going into a gym, or the fear of how much is it going to cost, or, how we budget for this kind of stuff. And it's cool to see someone doing the research to kind of back that up, to be like, yep, those things are happening and are a part of our experiences. So I think that's really interesting. And I say our experiences because you're not just a researcher, you're also an adaptive athlete yourself, right?
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about that. You compete in adaptive CrossFit. You also do adaptive High Rocks. What's your impairment? How does it impact you? That kind of stuff.
I have EDS, Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome, just like Abby that was on the podcast before. And there are 14 subtypes. She has the classical one, and I have the hypermobile one. People with EDS also have a lot of comorbidities, as they say, because connective tissue is everywhere in our body, so everything is affected. There are a lot of things that don't really work in my body, even though you don't see anything, because it's an invisible illness.
Mm-hmm.
That's also sometimes I get a lot of questions. Why are you in the adaptive division? Because you look normal. Also in competitions and in the gym.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to explain a lot, but I think that's also good, because I'm raising awareness as well, that things aren't always what you see from the outside.
Yeah, there's this sense that adaptive athletes that have invisible disabilities almost have to hide them in their everyday lives. And then it's sort of this catch-22, we would say in America, where when you're in a competitive space, then people are almost like, well, what are you even doing here? Because you don't look
Exactly.
like you fit. And then
Yeah.
you have to explain further. You're not like welcomed right off the bat like someone who might have a more visible disability.
No.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, that's sometimes a challenge. I also like it because I can hide it in daily life. But it's also a struggle because I always have to advocate for myself.
Right.
In hospitals as well, because doctors don't know my illness either. And they don't have any ideas how to treat me in most
Mm-hmm.
cases. And also in gyms or at competitions, sometimes I want a sign that says, I'm an adaptive athlete, even though you don't see anything.
Yes.
I also made an Instagram post about it once with a picture where you don't see anything, and then written next to it a lot of symptoms that I have that are invisible because it's, people that know EDS know that our joints are hypermobile and they dislocate. But there are so many more things that are going on because my heart valves are also hypermobile.
Mm.
So they leak, which my heart has to pump a lot harder than normal people because when blood goes from one chamber to the other, it's supposed to stay there. But with me, the doors don't close, so the blood goes back. So it's pumping really hard.
Mm-hmm.
And also, my intestines don't work because connective tissue is supposed to connect and also support organs, and with me it doesn't work. So people with connective tissue disorders also have prolapses and stuff like that, but
Okay.
also inside are a lot of muscles and they don't work either.
Yeah.
So
Wow. I would not have thought of all that with EDS.
no.
That's a lot. But even the joints dislocating, I mean, that has to be painful in the gym or certainly uncomfortable.
Yeah, and scary sometimes because sometimes with certain movements I know that it can happen, but it also happens when I don't expect it in the gym, but it also
Mm.
happens in my sleep or in everyday life.
So if you like roll over awkwardly when you're sleeping, you could dislocate something or okay.
Yeah, yeah. I used to wake up with two dislocated shoulders every morning, and now I. It sounds really stupid, but I sleep with a teddy bear in my arms,
Oh,
and I hold it when I turn. And this way, my shoulders stay in place when I turn, and I wake up with my shoulders in place. So
you know
it's
what,
great.
Yosine, I'm just gonna try that. I
Yeah,
don't, I think just holding a teddy bear at night might actually be just good for
might
me.
make you sleep better as
Yes.
well. I don't know if your wife will like it though.
Hey, it's for me, okay? It's
Yeah,
just
she can have
cozy.
her own teddy bear.
Yes, exactly. Oh, I love that. I mean, I don't love that for you that happens to you when you sleep. I love that solution to the problem, which
Exactly.
I think
Yeah.
is something that comes up frequently on this podcast of how adaptive athletes have to come up with some creative solutions that might seem weird even.
Yeah.
But in the gym, do you wear braces then to kind of help your joints kind of stay in place?
Yeah. I have this really big gym bag full of braces. And some I wear all the time, and some I wear when I have an issue
Hmm.
somewhere. And that's always somewhere. I have a back brace, wrist braces, shoulder braces, thumb braces, knees. Yeah, that's it, I
Okay.
think. Yeah.
Ankles?
Ankles are okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, and that's also because I'm getting a little older, so I have a lot of arthrosis or
Yep,
arthritis, or
arthritis.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that makes you stiffer. So I get
Mm,
a little less hypermobile in some joints as I get older. So
interesting.
with me, it's good to get older.
Yeah. Aging is not a bad thing in this case.
No, not everywhere. No.
Yeah. Wow. That's really interesting. Thanks for sharing that kind of deeper insight into your EDS. Now, you didn't always know you had EDS, right?
No, I had a really late diagnosis, and I did research on EDS as well. And diagnosis, it really differs how long it takes in
Mm-hmm.
countries. Some countries it's 10 years, and other countries is 30 years
Mm.
before you get the proper diagnosis. So Abby was quite young. I'm 47 now. I think I was 43.
Okay.
Yeah. So it took a long time. And before that, I was always injured. I had the weirdest things going on. And I was really clumsy. And I thought that was just me. And every doctor that I went to, they said, "Oh, that's really weird. Oh, that's rare. I've never seen that before." But they didn't talk to each other. So they didn't know I had all these rare and weird things going on
Yeah.
until I found it out myself, because I thought after a while, all these things that I have seem to have something with connective tissue. But
Mm.
that's also because I used to be coaching and I knew something about anatomy and stuff like that. And then I Googled connective tissue plus disease. I thought maybe there's a disease. And then I read Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome and I thought, oh, my cousin has that. Oh, maybe that's something that I could have too. And I checked a list with the symptoms and it was check, 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 check.
Wow.
Okay, this must be something that I could have. Yeah.
Yeah. So then you went back to your doctor and you were like, here's what's going on.
Yeah. And then the doctor sent me to a rehabilitation center and I got a clinical diagnosis there and a really intensive rehab program. And that was fantastic. That's where I learned the teddy bear thing. But
I love
also,
it.
I learned how to walk properly, how to sit, how to lift, how to do everything. Because at that time, everything hurts and I could hardly move.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I went to a geneticist, and there I got the official diagnosis.
Okay.
So yeah, that's when it was sure that I had it.
So before you got that diagnosis, what were you doing for fitness or for coaching or that kind of stuff?
I used to do CrossFit, and I also was coaching in a CrossFit gym, mostly with pre and postnatal women. Actually, that was my specialty at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And but I was also coaching regular people and doing personal training and stuff like that. But it often happens that I had people that started with me and they got much better very soon because my body couldn't do all the movements in the gym. So that was not very nice.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I didn't know there was a reason for that.
So I'm not sure I quite understood that. So I'm going to ask that one more time. So what are you saying that when you were coaching people, they were doing better than you were doing in their
Yeah, let's
recovery?
say somebody started with me and I tried to learn them how to do pull-ups and they could do it. And I was, by the time I had been practicing it for, let's say, 5 years and I still couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was always a bit frustrated.
Yes, and you were having a hard time doing pull-ups because your hypermobility was probably preventing your shoulders from
Yeah,
taking on that strain, right?
exactly. And I
Okay.
couldn't do handstands either. And I couldn't do double unders either. And I always thought, I'm just clumsy and I need to practice more. I didn't know there was a disorder in my brain, and one side of my body just didn't respond. So now it was actually also really nice to get the diagnosis because I thought, oh, all these things are not my fault. There's
Mm-hmm.
a reason for it.
Yeah, but that must have been frustrating when you were training clients and
Yeah,
you're telling your clients, hey, I'm trying to do these things. And then your clients are doing them and they seem to not have the same problems that
yeah,
you're having, right? They can
it
go
was.
further faster.
Yeah, and I was also a bit ashamed of it because I had been walking around in the gym for so many years and there were still so many things that I couldn't do. And people that started new, they could do it right away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah. Do you still coach?
no,
Okay.
no, no. I do open the gym in the morning, and I'm there for the open gym hours, but I don't really coach people. I'm just facilitating the open gym, actually.
Mm-hmm. Uh, so you started competing in adaptive CrossFit last year, then?
Yeah, yeah,
You did the
yeah.
open, got into semis. And what division were you in last year? And then what
This is
division
standing
are you?
diagnosed.
Okay. Standing
Yeah,
diagnosed. And then
and this
this
year
year,
in neurominor.
okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
So can you tell me a little bit about that classification process that kind of got you switched from standing diagnosed to neurominor?
yeah. Last year I didn't know anything, and I didn't know what the divisions were and what they meant, and I didn't know that the workouts would be different either. So I saw somebody with EDS online. Her name is Alison Hansen.
Yeah, she
She's
lives
a
right here in
neuromod.
Tampa.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
she
how
lives
I
close to
got
me.
to know the whole wheelbot thing, because I saw her doing it online and I thought, oh, she can do it. Maybe I can do it too. Yeah. So I asked her, what is that? What are you doing? You're doing competitions? How? And then she
Hmm.
said, yeah, you can sign up here and this is it. So that's how I found out.
Hmm. That's really
Yeah.
cool. I found out about WheelWOD because another guy with CP, I reached out to him and he was
Yeah.
doing it and he told me all about. That's so cool. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so I don't remember what division Allison competed in at the games last year. It might have been neuro minor.
Neurominor as
Neuro
well.
minor.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So
Yeah.
it seems like neuro minor might become kind of the right fit for EDS, or maybe in your case, you were talking about possibly even neuro moderate at some point. Um,
Yeah.
so
But
you
there
did
are
your
also people with EDS in the seeded divisions. They're everywhere, actually.
okay based
Yeah, because
upon
we're all so different.
yeah, okay, all right, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So when you went to get classified at WheelWOD, you sent them some paperwork. You described kind of how it impacts you.
Yeah. And
Okay.
they didn't, I had a video call as well, and I didn't get an answer to what division would be best for me. And I asked a few times, and then I think 3 days before the open started, I thought maybe standing diagnosed then, because I needed to sign up somewhere. And
Yeah.
then they said, yes, do that for this year and we'll see. So that's what I did. But I didn't really feel like I belonged there. Standing diagnosed, there are so many different people there, and there were just too many things that I couldn't do that everybody else could.
Yeah.
So I thought maybe there's a better place for me. And then this year I switched to neuro, which is better.
Hmm.
But I feel like I should be in neuro moderate because of my symptoms. But well, I'm in neuro minor for this year, and we'll just see how it goes.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Yep. Great. So you also do high rocks.
yeah, I do.
So
Yeah,
tell us a little bit about adaptive high rocks. We had Sydney Peterson on the show, and she's training for an adaptive high rocks in Miami. But we haven't
yeah,
had another high rocks athlete on yet.
yeah. I did it twice now, and I'm doing it again in 2 weeks. Yeah, I always say high rocks is sort of easy CrossFit
Okay.
because there's no skills. You just have to run and lift.
Hmm.
But every movement is quite simple. And yeah, I'm really glad that they opened up for adaptive athletes. I think it started last year and it's really new. They really have to grow. So I would say just go and try, because they're also really flexible with modifications. If you really can't do something,
Mm.
you have to email them, and then together you look for a good alternative.
Okay.
And that's why it's so accessible for everyone.
So if someone wanted to do an adaptive high rocks, let's say neuro minor, which is the division that
Yeah,
you're in, we were talking before we went live, but they cut the run by one lap. So it's like what would you say, like
yeah,
600 to 700 meters,
yeah. It
basically
depends on the
each run.
division. So
Yeah.
normal people run 1 kilometer. That's depends on the location, but mostly it's 3 laps. And neuro minor is 2 laps, and neuro major is 1 lap. So yeah, it depends. But I also see people doing it in wheelchairs,
Hmm.
or yeah,
And then they lower the length of the row and the ski, I would assume. And then,
no, no. The
oh,
row
okay.
and the ski is the same in
Okay.
neuro minor. I don't know about major,
Okay.
but they lower the weight with the sleds
Hmm.
and the kettlebells and the wall balls. Yeah,
Is
and
the,
they also do a little less. So normal people do 100 wall
yep.
balls, and we do 75.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes
Yeah,
sense. Do you do those unbroken?
I did, and I got a
Hey,
patch for that. Yeah,
whoa, let's go.
yeah.
75 unbroken wall
I
balls.
was so tired, but
Oh
there
my
was a camera
goodness.
on my face, so I thought, don't stop, don't stop.
Oh,
Whatever you do, keep going.
if I did that, I would not be able to walk to the finish platform. I would like I would have to crawl to the finish platform.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness. That's amazing. Well done. Well done on unbroken
thank
wall
you.
balls. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's phenomenal. So you mentioned that EDS is genetic and you have kids. Do your kids have EDS?
Yes, we have 4 kids, but the oldest 2 are my bonus kids, so I didn't make them myself.
I know exactly what
But
that's like. I've got two. I love that phrase, bonus kids. I've got
yeah.
a 13 and a 16-year-old sons who are my bonus kids.
Oh, and one of your
And
own.
yes, yes.
Okay, yeah, I've got 2 of my own, and they are 9 and 13 now, and they both have the diagnosis as well. So yeah, I always feel like I have to set an example for them in lifestyle,
Hmm.
because yeah, they also have dislocations and they're also tired sometimes. And then it's easy to just sit on the couch with a video game and don't move, but that
Yes.
will only make it worse.
Hmm. So you
So I'm
get to
trying
sort of
to,
motivate them to do more
yeah,
fitness or move their bodies, or they see you as an example.
yeah, yeah. Well, I don't know if they see me as an example, but I try to be an example, and hopefully they get, yeah, it sticks somewhere
Yeah, we kind
one
of
day.
hope, right, that like maybe one day when they're like in their 20s, they'll be like, "Oh, I remember when my
Yeah,
parents, did
yeah,
did
yeah.
this."
My 13-year-old also does all these party tricks where he pulls his joints out of place and he says, "Look what I can do," and I'm always saying, "Don't
Don't
do that.
don't
It
do
will
that.
give you so much pain later." But
Yeah,
he
yeah.
doesn't listen to me.
Yeah, did you say
No.
that your 9-year-old goes to the gym with you sometimes or trains with
Yeah,
you sometimes? Yeah.
yeah, and we do mom and kids CrossFit competitions
Yeah.
together. That's really nice.
Th-
Yeah.
That's really nice. Is he enjoying it? Is he finding that it's helping his EDS?
No, he just does it for fun to do something together with me. But
Okay.
he's more into soccer actually.
Okay.
Uh, but he just likes to do stuff together like that. Yeah. So he doesn't really train for it,
Hmm.
although he has a membership to a CrossFit gym, but he hardly goes.
Yeah.
But he just likes to do the events together.
Do your do you talk to your kids, the 9 and the 13-year-old, about like having an invisible disability? Do they think about that at school? What's that like for them,
Yeah.
for you seeing it as a parent?
Yeah, I'm actually glad that I know it already with them because my parents didn't know anything when I was a kid. So I can tell them about, yeah, how it can influence your life and what you can do to influence it and to control your health. But sometimes you tell things to your kids and they make something totally different out of it. Because a few weeks ago, I picked up my youngest from school and the teacher said, he hasn't been doing anything today.
Mm.
And then I asked him why. And then he said, well, you have EDS and you quit working. So I thought I don't have to work today.
Oh
And
my
then I thought,
goodness.
okay, maybe I didn't do it right.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. No, that's not how it works, buddy. That's
No,
not.
no, not yet.
Goodness. That's funny.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
you didn't, just to be clear, like when people with disabilities quit working, like we're not doing it because we're lazy. Like it's
exactly.
right. There's so much
Yeah,
more behind the scenes of that.
yeah. I wish I could just work full time like I did in the past.
Yeah.
It's not that I just want to sit on the couch all day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's
you
difficult
don't
to
sit on,
explain to kids.
yeah, and you don't sit on the couch all day.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
I need the time to manage my health and do all my medical appointments and all my medication stuff. And I also have to sleep during the day. And well, I go to the physio once or twice a week and yeah, stuff like that.
Hmm.
And to the gym every day.
Right, right. So I
Yeah,
think that's helpful because the stigma, the caricature of people with disabilities, especially more invisible ones, especially ones that lead to chronic fatigue, is that they spend a lot of time just on the couch, not working, not doing things. But the truth is, it's much more complex than that. You're doing
exactly.
things
Yeah,
and you're actually having to manage your fatigue, disability as well at the same time.
yeah, yeah. Managing my health is actually a full time job. But it's hard to explain to people because sometimes I don't even know what I've been doing all day,
Hmm.
because everything also takes more time.
Yeah.
And managing your health is also a lot of phone calls, emails, trying to get medical specialists to connect and talk to each other about stuff because it's always through me, and I don't know everything. So that's also maybe 2 hours a day, just doing stuff like that, managing
Yeah.
everything. Because with a lot of illnesses, you get a case manager and there's a protocol for treatments. And I don't have that. I am my own case manager and I have about 10 medical specialists helping me. And
Yeah.
yeah, and I'm also helping them because they don't know my illness.
Hmm.
So that's a lot of work.
Yeah, that sounds like so much work.
Yeah.
Switching back to CrossFit for a moment, what's one thing that you wish coaches knew about coaching you?
Yeah, I think the most important when you're coaching an adaptive athlete with EDS or whatever they have is just ask people, what is it that you have and what can I do to help you? What would you like to learn? And what kind of modifications do you think you need? Or because most coaches feel like they have to know everything, but you can't know everything.
Yeah.
And everybody is different. So just ask people because sometimes people are shy to ask about disabilities or conditions. And people, most cases, they just like to talk about it because then the other one can help them better.
Yeah.
So I would say just open up any conversation, even if it's a bit awkward, because it's important and you can learn as well.
Hmm.
So
Nice.
it also makes coaches a better coach if they dare to ask also about the awkward stuff and also about things that they feel they should know. Yeah.
Yeah, coaches need to be curious.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And open up the conversation because you can learn from each other both ways. It's not like the client doesn't know anything and the coach has to know everything. No, you can learn from each other.
Hmm. Nice. All right, can we go to a lightning round? We're gonna do
Yeah.
some quick fire questions. So, what's your favorite station in the High Rocks?
I think the farmer's carry. Yeah,
Ooh, farmer's carry.
that's a nice
Interesting.
one.
Okay.
Yeah.
What would be your ideal workout?
At the moment, I'm training for high rocks, so that would be a lot of conditioning, and also things that where my hypermobility is an advantage. So things like snatches or overhead squats, stuff like that. I really
Okay.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is your go-to snack before a High Rocks competition?
Hmm, I would say carbs in every
Carbs.
form.
What
Yeah.
carbs? Okay, in every form.
Yeah.
Is there a specific like Dutch snack maybe that you're like, okay, this is my go-to like sweet snack?
No, the typical Dutch snack is a stroopwafel. But I saw that in the US you have protein stroopwafels, and we don't even have them. So I would love protein stroopwafel one day. I know Tim Murray has them.
Okay,
You know him?
gotcha. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I know of him. Yeah, I've never had a chance to talk to him, but I know of him.
I saw it on his Instagram. I was so surprised because Dutch people bring other people's stroopwafels when they go and visit them because it's so Dutch.
Oh,
But
okay.
apparently everybody has it now. You
They're probably not as good though. They're probably not like the
have to
original.
try.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out. Okay. Do you have a mantra that you tell yourself?
Yeah, things are hard, but I'm strong
Mm,
because that really helps me because sometimes I feel like a workout is killing me. And if I think, okay, it's hard, but I can do this, nobody said it was easy, things like that, that
can
really
you,
help me.
what is that mantra in Dutch?
Het is zwaar, maar ik ben sterk.
One more time?
Ja. Het is zwaar, maar ik ben sterk. This
Okay.
is heavy, but I'm strong.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
All right. I've got two final questions for you. If someone's new to adaptive CrossFit, what's one piece of advice you would give them to get started?
I would say find a good coach and give yourself time
Okay.
to figure out movements, to figure out the right division. It just takes time. So and have fun in the process. Don't be too competitive. Don't ask too much of yourself, but just have fun while you're doing it.
Mm-hmm. I like that. And if you could go back and talk to a younger version of yourself, what would you tell them to encourage them?
There's a reason for all your clumsiness. You've got an illness, even though you don't know it yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You would go back and be like, hey, look up EDS.
Yeah. If somebody would have told me 30 years earlier. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much, Josine. This was so much fun to get to talk to you, to hear about your story. Thanks for being on the podcast.
Thank you. It was really nice.
Thanks for joining us for this conversation, and thanks to Josine for being a part of the podcast. She had such a powerful perspective on invisible disabilities, adaptive sports, and resiliency. And I loved her mantra, things are hard, but I'm strong. It's a reminder for all of us facing challenges that we can do hard things, especially for us CrossFitters as we get ready to head into semifinal season and figure out if we're actually going to make it to the games. We can do hard things. If you're new to adaptive sports or know somebody who might benefit from hearing this conversation, share this podcast with them. Make sure that they know that there are other adaptive athletes out there that they can look up to, that they can learn from. Thanks so much for joining us for this episode of the podcast, and I'll catch you guys next time.